Hello, Mrs. Baca here again. I'm here to go over the hundreds chart to help you know how to best help your child learn to count to 100. First of all, here are the activities. There are many of them. You don't need to do all of the activities. Some of the activities on here are like counting backwards by tens or by fives or by twos. You don't need to do that. But definitely have your child start counting by ones all the way up to 100. And have them point on the chart so they are seeing the number and saying it in order as they go through. Once your child is able to count forwards with ease, then you would want to go on to counting by tens and by fives. By twos is not necessary, but it is fun if your child wants to learn their twos. It would be helpful in first grade. But for kindergarten, first, definitely making sure they know to count by tens and by fives. Once your child can count to 100 and they can count by fives and tens, then it's time to work on counting backwards. So then you go back to your chart and have your child starting from 100 all the way back to 1, making sure again that they are pointing to each number. Now, sometimes this can be a little daunting for your child. You don't need to have them do the whole thing every time. You can break it up into 20 or to 30 at a time. You decide and just have your child do it. Another thing you want to make sure you're doing is having them count without the chart. So in the car, having them count up to 50 or count back from 30, however you want to do it, but making sure that they are also doing it without looking at the chart. Once your child is able to count forwards and backwards, then you want to start having them find numbers on the chart. So have them point to 44 or have them point to 68, or you can point to a number and have them tell you what that number is, and they can use the other numbers to help them figure that out. After that, what you want to do verbally with your child is have them tell you what comes before 32 or what comes after 71 and see if they can mentally keep it in their head and tell you where things are going. Once you're able to do all those things, it might be time to start filling out a hundreds chart. If your child struggles with writing and writing is something that's really hard for them, you don't need to do this part, but it is important for them to learn at some point. So why not do it now? And I wouldn't do the whole thing, and maybe do 2 rows at a time. That really breaks it up and lets your child feel like they're making accomplishment. Once they filled out the hundreds chart from 1 to 100, then you can start having to fill out the columns. So you can start filling out all the ones right here, and then they put a 10 here and a 2 here for 21 and 31, and have them fill out the chart that way, and that will help them to continue to work on the patterns of our 10-base system. Well, that's pretty much how to teach your child to count to 100 and to understand their numbers. Again, we have the accountability sheet right here, so you can keep track and use that as an incentive for your child. And then also the assessment down here. There are a few questions here that you might not need to ask your child, like counting backwards by twos or counting backwards by fives or tens. That's not something that we necessarily have to do in kindergarten. But if you want to press your child and push them, you're welcome to do that. But definitely having them be able to recognize these numbers and tell you what they are is very important. But I hope that has been helpful to you and that you have a fun time working with your child counting to 100. Thank you.